That brings me to the concept of high potential. I've been talking a lot about high potentials, who they are, what are the challenges that we face. So you need to understand about high potential. In a Harvard Business Review article in June 2010, Douglas Rady and Jay Conger and Linda Hill published a very interesting article called "Are You a High Potential?" And they describe high potentials are individuals who consistently and significantly outperform their peers group in a variety of settings. Consistently and significantly outperform their peer group. Number two, while this individual consistently delivers superior performance, not only that, they also demonstrate or reflect the company culture and value in an exemplary manner. So they are aligned to organizational values, and this is important because at the end of the day, they need to be a role model to the others. Third, according to this authors, Douglas Rady, Jay Conger, Linda Hill, in that article in Harvard Business Review, they says that these high potentials show strong capacity to grow, succeed throughout their careers within organization, and they can be able to transfer the skill set very easily from one role to another. As they move on to different roles, they are more effective than their peers. So this group of individuals called the high potentials are the candidate, are usually deemed to be the individuals that organization invested in developing for the future. But I would like to caution you very importantly, many people misunderstood that high performers, they look at organization, we look at organization, and we find that a lot of organizations tend to focus on high performers. And they misunderstood that these high performers are high potentials. Not necessarily so. Because a person who has performed consistently very strong in the same role may not necessarily perform well in another role. Because high potential, they can transfer and they perform in a variety of settings. So high performer may not necessarily be high potential. Now what does it mean? It means that a high performer individual are very good at performing the jobs at the current role, where a high potential employee can demonstrate measurable skills and ability beyond the current jobs and into different roles. So this is very important. The damage that many organizations we have seen consistently time and again, when you promote a very strong performer, high performer individual into a leadership role, they suffer miserably. They become uncomfortable. They struggle into the role. And what happens in a very high level of stress, anxiety, causing them to quit. They suffer, the organization suffer. Especially many sales organizations, sales-driven organizations, I've seen this very true. They put a very high flyer, a rainmaker, someone who's performed very well in the sales role, into a leadership role, he does not perform. So it's very important to understand between high performer and high potential. Unless you're able to distinguish this very clearly, you may be in for a very tough time when you promote individuals who are not ready to assume their role, the future role. And research has shown many times that if you promote someone who is not ready and not able to assume their leadership role, or you promote high performer who are not ready to assume, who are not high potential, it can cost you about 4 to 6 times or up to 12 times the cost of replacing them. So it's you need to be mindful about this challenge of leadership transition. There's a book that probably you've heard of called The Leadership Pipeline by Ram Charan. Ram Charan and Stephen Drogden and Gabe Noel wrote a book called The Leadership Pipeline. And it's how to build the leadership powered company. And it's a very good book. I would recommend you to read. And Ram is on our board of advisor, in EDA board of advisor. Ram and I work on on projects together. And I think Ram, someone I have deep respect. He's the executive coach to Jack Welch, and he's also was the director of the J. Crottonville Leadership Center. So my advice is get a copy of the book and read up about if you're interested in to ensure a robust, sustainable leadership pipeline in your organization. And Ram wrote another book back in 2008. Okay, the leadership pipeline was written in 2000. 8 years later, he wrote a book called Leaders at All Levels. And I love this book. In this book, Ram talked about the crisis he said, crisis may be an overused word, but the reality in the state of leadership today is in crisis. And he says that CEOs are failing miserably. And he was looking at the, over 10 to 15 years time in the US and globally. A lot of CEOs, they fail, they are falling harder, they're leaving their companies in turmoil because they do not have people ready to assume a certain role, and they're short of quantity and quality of leaders. And there are leaders in organization. The question is, how do you identify and develop these leaders internally? So the leaders at all levels basically means that you need to identify, provide the support, and the role of leaders to develop other leaders. That is fundamental. If you're not able to develop other leaders, that is going to be a real challenge in the future.